I am not sure how we're going to do this today, but I have got to work and I figured I would just bring you along with me. Working. Yeah, I've got the fancy shirt on. I had a Zoom call with a client for a Templex. Big project. The bigger the project, the more fun it is, right? Truthfully, doing what I do, drawing house plans, the bigger the project, the more of a hassle it is. I make better money on smaller projects that are just in and out quick. Good morning, Transient Stacker. Good to see you, my friend. Yes, it is Wednesday. Happy hump day, everybody. We made it. We made it. That's good, right? Nothing bad about that. So we're going to see if I can just flip this around and I can talk while I work. Yes, good morning, Liberty Bleeds Silver. Good to see you guys. Gold Aztec in the house. I have been drawing house plans now since basically 2003. This is what I do for a living. I have been self-employed for the majority of that. Truthfully, my architectural journey started when I was a kid. My dad was a draftsman and a contractor. He drew on a big table. This was back in the 80s. And he had all the stencils and the pens. And as a kid, he would make me look up building code, which sucked. I hated doing stuff like that. He definitely was preparing me to take over his business, to which I was like, I'll never be a draftsman ever. Because me and my dad did not get along. But needless to say, from a very young age, he had me first start drawing site plans. And then he taught me how to lay a house out and draw elevations. And so he would have me do that stuff. And I knew the basics, how to do all that on, pen and stencil on a big table. But again, I didn't want to be like my dad at all. So I went into other forms of construction. I started framing houses when I was 15, doing concrete work. And construction was a real normal fit because I grew up, my dad and I had built our own home and his uncle's home, my great uncle. So it was just the two of us on both of those jobs. Learned a lot, and so then framing houses became kind of second nature. It was an easy step in. And then, I was doing framing for a while, and then I ended up doing concrete work because it paid better. But man, concrete work is miserable hard work, let me tell you. And then I started hanging drywall, which is even more miserable. Hanging drywall is probably my least favorite job ever. And at the time I was 18, 19. Man, you just get that white drywall powder, the gypsum, all in your nose, your eyes, your ear. Like, it just is everywhere. You're covered in it. It's a mess, and it is. It's backbreaking work for sure. Framing was the most enjoyable of those three. And then I also wound up working for a truss manufacturer, jumping up on top of the tables, rolling out trusses with the plates and all of that. And then I ended up cutting wood for the trusses, kind of a step up from the tables. So, I was deep into construction, and I found my way into restaurants because I was like, it's easier work for comparable money, and they're going to feed me a meal? Like, holy smokes. So that was why I got out of it. I ended up back into construction, into drafting itself. It's kind of a funny story. My friends, remarkably, my best friends, they worked My best friend's brother, older brother, married a girl whose dad was a draftsman. Old man, he'd been doing it his whole life. And some of you may be like, what's the difference? Draftsman, architect, engineer. There is a difference. There's a hierarchy. Anybody can be a draftsman. Doesn't mean you're good at it. Doesn't mean you're bad at it. But a draftsman is a uneducated, not uneducated, an undegreed person that draws plans. So I do everything that an architect does, but I didn't go to school to become an architect. So it's one of those things. Yeah, DP is not a sponsor. Dr. Pepper, I'll say it like that. For that takes you guys places. Yeah, so a draftsman, anyone can become a draftsman. You learn it, you just do it. Plans have to meet or exceed code. You got to know. There's a lot of info to know. And that's the problem. A lot of people take CAD. They learn how to draw with CAD. They learn the program in college. You couldn't submit a set of plans to save your life. They teach you how to draw a set of plans. You don't know any of the building code. You don't know any of that information. And I know this because I've hired people out of college that you almost have to teach them your way, and it's easier to just start someone from scratch. So yeah, a draftsman doesn't have to have a degree to do what I do. An architect, well, the next step is an engineer. An engineer can do everything I do. I charge $1 a square foot. An engineer will charge between $3 and $5 a square foot, and they can do the structurals. So there's several states that I can put all the structural stuff on, and they don't require an engineer to sign and seal the plans. So I know all that stuff, how deep, how wide the footings need to be, how much steel in it, all of that. They're just common details. I've been doing this for so long now. But an engineer, they can sign and seal the plans. They have to carry insurance. They can sign and seal the plans. So they do everything I do, but they get paid $3 to $5 an hour. Now, the way I do it as a draftsman in a state like Florida, where they require the plans to be signed and sealed, I draw the plans at $1 a foot. The engineer will sign and seal them at 50 cents a foot. So even at $1.50 a foot, it's much faster to do it that route. And again, the engineer's $3 to $5 a foot to just do it himself. So you save quite a bit of money. And then architects are ridiculous. They're like $10 a foot or more. And they'll take a year to do a project that I can do in 2 weeks. And it's hard. I mean, to actually become an architect, it takes 8 years. You have to have internship. You have to have an engineering degree. You have to have all that stuff. So they say if you're an actual architect, you're rich. Because you are. You should be. So now, does that make an architect the best designer? No, the best designers I've ever met have been draftsmen. People that, designing and engineering are two totally different things. So anyway, be that as it may, lots of people call themselves architects because everybody in the world knows what an architect is. You're the guy that draws the plans. In the world of our hierarchy, I call myself a draftsman. Architects are very offended if you call yourself an architect. And in fact, you can get a lawsuit calling yourself an architect when you are a draftsman. And the architects are very picky about that. So there is a difference. There you have it. Draftsman, engineer, architect. That's the hierarchy. Price goes up. I make a very decent living doing what I do. I'm self-employed. I have worked for other people doing what I do. Quickly, as soon as I start kicking out work for other people, I'm like, why am I doing this for them? I make way better money doing it for myself. So there we go. So I work from a home office. It's cool. And here we are. So how I became a draftsman. yeah, so my buddy's big brother married into a drafting family. All the sons were drafting for the dad. And you got some funny comments rolling in. They're making me laugh. But in any case, he marries in. He gets his little brother, my best friend at the time, hired on. And they hire my other best friend on. So it's all these brothers and then my three buddies, the two brothers and a best friend. Anyway, at the time, I was working in Vegas, but living in St. George, 2 hours away. I was working at the Melting Pot, and I was making good money. Way better money than waiting tables in St. George. So I'd work the weekend. Anyway, I come up, it's Friday, I go to pick up my buddy. He was getting married that weekend, and we're like, hey, let's go to lunch. And he was taking off for the day. The old man, the owner, goes, hey, I need you to turn your computer back on. I need such and such. And he's like, I'm out of here. I'm on vacation. And the guy laughed. They were really busy. This was, at the time, this would have been 2003, about 2003. And so it was really one of those things where it was like, well, this was a spur of the moment thing. He was like, I'll just hire somebody else or something like that. And I could tell they were real busy and all of this stuff. And the old guy, I knew him because I'd been in there before, and he was a good dude. I mean, when I say old, you know, back then I was in my late 20s. He was like in his 60s, probably. And so anyway, I went into his office while my buddy was bringing up whatever on the computer, and I said, hey, you looking to hire somebody? And he goes, maybe. And I said, I will work for you for free until I'm worth something to you. I said, I have a construction background. I said, I've even drawn plans by hand, but I don't know CAD. You'd need to teach me CAD. But I framed and did concrete work. I know how to read plans. And he was like, wait a minute. He's like, you'll work for me for free? And I was like, yeah. Now, the only reason I brought this up was because all my friends were making bank. Back then, I mean, they were making like $800, $1,000 a week, and he paid them every week. The older brother was making even more than that. So by those standards, they were making killer money for 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And so he was like, so you'll work for free, and then when it's worth it to me, I'll pay you. And I was like, yeah, I'll work for free. You teach me CAD. And yeah. And he said, I'll see you Monday. I said, okay. So I got there Monday, and he literally walks in and hands me a set of plans, all marked up with red pen, what we call red lines. They needed changes made. And all my buddies start laughing because I was like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't know how to do anything computer-wise. I was not a computer guy. I was not tech savvy. I knew how to type. That was it. But my dad had always taught me, growing up, he was like, if you have a set of tools, if you got a tool bag and tools, you can show up on any job site and see if they need a framer. And I had done that previously. I'd been like, look, you need work, or do you have work? I'm looking to work, and I'd gotten hired on the spot. So when I came up with I'll work for free, I was hoping for the best in this scenario. And I got the best. So I work the full 40-hour work week. He's walking around handing out checks. And it was one of those things that he come over and he handed me a $200 check. And I was shocked because it was my first week. Now, I learned quickly. My friends, they wrote down a list. These are the commands. This is how you do this and that. And I just really started copying and pasting. And they were on a network, so I could jump in and out of plans. So I would just copy them and dink around till they hand me something, say, move this, change that. So I learned a lot. I mean, it was really crash course learning. My buddy was on his honeymoon, and so I got a $200 check for my first week of work. Now I worked 40 hours, so that was $5 an hour. Not much, but again, I told him I'd work for free. So subsequently, I kept going, and every week thereafter, he'd up me 25 or $50 a week. And I stayed with him for a while, and I was making pretty good money until I started my own business. And but I tell my son this all the time. I tell my kids, you know, the value of being willing to put yourself out there is priceless. And I've utilized that twice in my life, and I've gotten both jobs. And my son recently utilized that, and he got a job. Not to toot my own horn, but if you're willing to put yourself out there, it's such a unique thing to say, I'll work for you for free till I'm worth something. Now, typically they can't have that. There's rules, but it gives you a foot in the door, just showing them, hey, I'm willing to be here. I want to be here, right? So that was how I got into the industry, and here I am 22 years later, still drawing house plans for a living. I'm going to flip this around. We'll see if we can show you a little bit of what I'm doing. Terrible glare. Man, that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. Well, maybe I'll just take this off and I'll just show you. And then we'll just wrap it up. Are you still there? Hopefully it comes back. Comes back. All right, here it is. I've shown stuff like this off before. This is what a set of plans looks like. So this happens to be a 5-plex. And basically, I draw all this. I mean, I run 3D CAD, but basically everything is line work, right? So you draw it, you make different things, and it's one of those deals. These are elevations. So that was a site plan. These are the elevations. It's 2D, so it's just showing what that looks like flat on the front, on the side. And this is a 5-plex that just got built last year. You know, this is a pretty simple project. It's just replicating. You know, there's foundation plans, there's details. So this is showing footings and rebar and different things of that nature. The floor plan, call out windows and doors. You know, this is a really tight fit. We've got a 1-car garage. You come inside, you go upstairs to the 2nd floor. We got a half bath, living room, dining room, kitchen. So kind of a nice open space downstairs. And yeah, this is the thing. People are always like, oh, what I do isn't rocket science. It's not hard. Not at all. Once you get upstairs, we got a master with a balcony, walk-in closet. It's got its own bath. We got storage, 2 bedrooms and a bath. Floor framing. This is just the floor joists being shown. Electrical plan, they're all duplicate units, so we only need to show 1 unit, but we show how it's switched, fans, recessed lighting, wall mounts, different things like that. Lintel plans. So this is in Florida, we do blocks, so they put steel and rebar everywhere we do a cell, sides of windows and doors, that thing. And this is another lintel plan, same thing, it was just an upper floor. And then a roof schematic, this is just a roof layout. They have to get truss engineering done. So this just shows how we want the roof to look. Super basic. Not a big deal. So that's a typical set of my plans. Now, of course, that's a real basic, simple project. It was up because I was just talking to somebody about a 10-plex. I do real small projects. I do real big projects, 10, 12,000 square foot homes. So, I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, and that's it. But that was my foot in the door, was I offered to work for free, and here, this is a trade I learned, and I've been doing for 22 years now, 20 of those being self-employed. Pretty fantastic. I work from home. I have a home office. You know, I do work nationally all across the country. You know, a lot of my clients I never even talk to. Literally, we email back and forth, or they find me online, and that's it. You know, it's just one of those things. It's nice because in today's age of technology and everything else, you can get away doing stuff like that. And then what's cool is I'll get people that will actually then send me, you know, pictures of their homes once they're done that I designed. And so that's kind of neat, you know, and here's just, I don't know if I can. So it's neat to see stuff that I worked on get actually built, and you can see what it becomes, right? That's kind of the neat part. And so that is for sure the funnest part of the whole process. There's a townhome there, so 2 adjoined units. But some of these, I mean, are real simple. That's just a small 2-story home. Different elements, you know, sometimes you have stucco, sometimes you have other things. This is a duplex kind of built, you know, it looks real simple. They can do modern stuff, different roof things. I mean, there's nothing hard about it, but it is cool getting to go out and see projects as they're being built. Go and drive the property, look at the house, be like, I designed this. And so that is rewarding in its own right, for sure. Anyway, I was gonna do some drafting, but the glare sucks, and I'm at 22 minutes. You're probably bored to death already anyway. So we'll just call that a day. So that's what I do. I draw house plans for a living. You know, it's good for me. And then I'm able to provide for my family a nice living. I work from home. It's a pretty good gig. The trades are where it's at. If your kids are coming up, you know, get them into plumbing, electrical, any trade. I mean, they'll never go hungry. There's always work. It may not be where you want it to be, but there is always work. So that's it for today. There you have it. And in the off time, I'm a pirate. I'm the captain now. Yes, good to see you, Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker. Good to see all you guys. Thanks for watching. This is Pirates Podcast. Another story in the books. Hope you enjoyed the show. Good to see you, Adam Jam. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place. 11 o'clock. And yeah, if you're enjoying, let me know. I appreciate that. For me, this is fun because I don't stack that much. I'm paying vacations. I'm doing other things. So I'm still able to share with you guys, see my friends, talk to you. And if you're enjoying it, I'm enjoying it. We'll see you all next time. Pirate out. Arghhhhh. All right, I'm leaving now.